and sat for a long time, and then someone obviously did some body work. It's as thick as my finger.
Well, I saw this crack and I thought, huh. I had the flap wheel out, and because I was dressing this, and this had like, it looked like Bonnie and Clyde drove it, and, and I fixed all of those and metal treated it, and I thought, well, let me just dig down through there.
Wow.
Hey, thanks for watching. It was great to have Derek come by and check out the progress that we've made on the car, even though it looks like pure destruction, but that's a whole other story. We'll have more of the tour of the car later on with Derek Bierry, but one of my main missions today is to find the second build sheet. When I did Project Z Sled, there was 2 build sheets. There was one under the back seat and one between the fuel tank and the rear body. If you remember, we found the one under the back seat of this car. Oh, wow. Holy cow, look at that. But it was a little hard to read, so I'm hoping that the build sheet is underneath. It's just kind of a fun thing to find, underneath the rear body panel and in between the trunk. So cross your fingers for me on that. But there's a bunch of catching up to do that I want you guys to see, and a couple of things I want to talk about that you hadn't seen yet. So check this out. So I always like to read the comments, and I try to respond to all of them, so thank you guys for putting them in there. It helps me make the shows better, and it helps Google recognize that you guys are actually watching. So a couple of suggestions from guys when I'm doing panel replacement, and Chris Slee suggested this as well. This is a belt sander, and it's a 1/2 inch by 10 inch blade. It's adjustable, super great tool for not only grinding out the spot welds, but also finishing the welds and getting into tight places. So yeah, I sprung for it. I went and bought one, and thanks to you guys for suggesting that. Here's another suggestion. Had a couple of guys, and this is a habit that I've gotten used to. I'm a big PPE guy, I'm a big safety guy, but what I've been doing was a bad habit, and I want to thank you for calling me out on it. I have a 4.5 inch cutoff wheel with a super thin blade that I use for slicing panels off. And somebody, I can't remember his name, said, please put a guard back on your grinder. My buddy Ian Johnson insists on a guard on his grinder. Chris Lee wouldn't work on the vehicle unless we had a grinder with a guard on it. That's his standard. He said, I've seen it happen. So what I did was I went and sprung for another electric grinder, and it's got a guard. And my old complaint with the guard on that other one I had was that I couldn't really move it around. This one is clockable. So now I've got a guard. Again, thanks to Chris. Thanks for you guys for pointing stuff out. I always want to be safe, and I never want to send the wrong message. So it's important. We use safety glasses, all that kind of stuff. So the rocker panel right over here, it's still not completely burned in, but it's exactly in the right place. So I wanted to show you a couple of little things here. These clamps, these are just my panel clamps. I'm going to squish it together, and I can come through these holes here, and we can get a really nice look and a really good weld at these places here, these little spot welds that have been drilled out. And with it clamped together tight like that, I know I'm going to get a good penetration on the panel behind the hole, and it'll be a very good classic rosette weld. On the areas like this right here, where we've got a little bit of springiness in that panel, you probably already know about this, but I wanted to show you this trick. So this is just a self-drilling screw right here. Phillips head, self-drilling screw. So what we're going to do, just in one of the places, we're going to, when we screw that in, it sucks it right up close to the panel. Now, since I've got a bit of leverage, I can put some of these Tetz screws in, and then I can do my rosette welds while the panel is clamped in. I pull the Tetz screw out, I zap it, and fill in the hole with some good weld, and we're good. The other thing is this. With the E-coat, I've seen guys do this a lot, and it's not the best practice for welding. You can arc it off on some bare metal and you can burn the E-coat off and then you hammer it with heat and weld. It's not really the right way to do it. If you look in here, when you see these holes here, you can see the E-coat. Well, where are we? Oh, there it is. You can see the E-coat, it's undisturbed in between those panels. And again, like I said, it's not the best way to approach a weld. So what I always do is I take a pencil grinder like this. It's a carbide burr, but it's a pencil grinder, and I can get into these tiny little holes and I can grind off that E-coat enough to get a good clean arc started and get a super nice penetration on my weld. We've spent 2 episodes talking about that this is a structural repair. The last thing I want is a cold weld, and the last thing I want is a weld that doesn't penetrate both panels fully. So those are things that we're going to do here, just like this piece right here. This is still kicking up a little bit, so I'm going to screw it in, get it all lapped in nicely and very, very close. And then I'll do my rosette welds and use the weld as leverage to press it down back in there, and we're going to be good to go. So once I get the rocker all burned in and everything ground down, the last step I'm going to do is to use this cavity wax. Now this is a wax, whatever, a 4,000 hour salt spray, creeps into welds and seams. Why that's important is because we've got a pinch seam across the bottom, and there's a bunch of different areas that we may have not gotten to with our weld through primer. The way this stuff works is pretty interesting. You've got an emitter on the end. There's several different nozzles on it, and what you do is just insert it into your panel. Of course, with it attached to the can, and you spray as you pull it out. So it's gonna spray like crazy, all multiple different directions, the entire length of that panel, and as we pull it out, it's going to just coat everything on the inside. And then, of course, you know, it didn't reach all the way, so we'll go in through this side, get the cavity wax in there. Here's a cool demonstration of how it actually works. You put the tip inside a frame rail or a quarter panel, some sort of a blind panel. And as you're pulling the wand out, you spray the wax. And it coats the whole internal structure of the part that you're placing it into. So once that's done, now I know for certain that the inside of that is sealed up the best way that I can do it. And yeah, that's the way to seal up your inner structure. And then we can move on, get to the floors. Oh, by the way, I found my other, I found my other hinge bolt. So that's always a win. I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, I remembered what I was going to say. Another question I had was, why didn't I put the floors in first and then the rocker panel? I do have a strategy with this. The floors, yeah, I'm going to need pieces of the floors, but I wanted to leave the floors alone for a couple of different reasons. I needed to pull this structure out. This had to come out. And with garbage floors in there, then the floor is a little bit flexible, right? So I think that actually helped me realign the position of the hinge pillar and reinstall the rocker panel in exactly the right place. And had I put all new full floors in, it would have locked that structure in the wrong location. So now that I've got my perimeter, i.e. new rocker, now I can go back and put the floors in and further reinforce the fact that we've got everything in the right place and we can rebuild the rest of the car around the foundation. And this piece right here, I'm going to drill these spot welds. I'm going to take this to my bead blaster and get that metal cleaned up, and we'll put that back in like that, and then we'll be ready for quarters. So here's the other question. Here's a strategy, and again, I discussed this with my buddy Chris, but there is a correct order in which we put on the rear sheet metal. So let's go to the other side of the car, and I want to show you something. When we look at the transition from the quarter panel to the roof skin, you can see that the roof skin actually overlaps the quarter. The corner is sunk in and actually goes all the way here. This is a leaded seam from here all the way to here. And I've heated it and wire brushed it out. You can see the 4011 spot welds there, which I kind of appreciate. But you can see that the roof skin goes over top of the quarters. So that tells me that I have to put the quarter panels in and then sit the roof skin on top. If I want to do this as much like the factory did it as possible, and that's my goal. So roof skin is going to go on after quarter panels. Quarter panels are going to go on after trunk floor. We've got our outer wheelhouses that we now know are garbage. Those are going on my pile at AMD, and I'm going to go pick up those parts in about a week or so. We're going to go back to the 70 model tail panel, which I've seen guys put them together with the later model trunk floors because it's a step floor, not a flat floor. But I'm going to put the 70 floor in there. I'm going to have it look like the 70 car in the back. It's just going to be easier. And like I said before, it gives me an opportunity to look inside those rails, maybe dress them up with some rust conversion coatings and get a good coating on there before I cover them back up again, hopefully forever, with my new sheet metal. So there's our strategy for the rest of the rebuild on this car. We're going to get the floor pans done. I'm going to cut all of this nonsense off on the back. We'll do our quarters, roof, trunk floor, tail panel, and just like that, in a matter of mere moments, it's going to look like a 70 Camaro on the backside. Speaking of weird things, this is pretty solid, but while I'm feeling in this with my hands, it was crazy that I found all of this mud. I mean, how in the heck did all that mud get up in there? Anyway, I want to show you one more thing before we actually start working. So going back and forth with a couple of people, it's always fun to talk to other people that have done these cars and hear their stories and all that type of stuff. I'm learning about these cars too, and I've done one before. But anyway, a guy named Kevin Martin reached out to me, and he had some extra pieces and parts left over. So you know that when you do something like this and you have friends that have done, there's always some horse trading involved. And so Kevin ended up with some extra parts for his car. That is obviously sloppy. This one, well, it feels tighter than Dick's hat band, but there's a spring on there, and it's under tension. So I have now hinge rebuild kits. So I'm super stoked. So I'm super stoked. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. And we're gonna rebuild these hinges before I put these doors on for alignment and adjustment purposes. So anyway, cool. I love the community in which I'm working. So I want to see if my build sheet is there. I've been soaking the bolts with some penetrating oil. I hope they work. Yeah, let's find out. All right, so we're going to support the fuel tank with the super steady 2x4 and a jack. And there's two straps that hold it in place. One here and one here. I've been soaking down the bolts. What I'm hoping to do is just take the straps off on the backside and then just ease it down, and it'll just gently fall out, and it'll just be perfect. It'll just absolutely go so smoothly. But the first thing that we've got to do is get the fuel neck loosened off from here. We've got the homemade lock cylinder here. We've got to get this. Let me just gently move that, and I'll adjust this out. We can do that, get it out of the way. That was in a chassis manual, proper procedure to do that. What do we got? Oh, that stinks like varnish, man. That's terrible. So we've got a ground strap there, I think. Yep, ground strap here. I'm going to that smells. Okay. All right, we'll push that through. I don't see any other encumbrances. This also, maybe it'll slide forward. Maybe that won't get hung up on here. And maybe I should think about disconnecting the fuel line too. Now that I'm smelling fuel, I think that's probably the best thing to do for me right now is disconnect the fuel line. All right then, Creeper, where are you? We are going to cut these lines here. Hope it doesn't spew fuel. Like that. It's anticipation. Anticipation to see if we can find the build sheet. Because you can just imagine the treasure, just like Geraldo Rivera and Al Capone's vault. Could be exciting, could be not, could be a dud, I don't know. Note to self, put a sharp blade in the knife. I have a feeling that there's a lot of fuel in this tank. What's telling me that is all the fuel spewing out right here. So I might go get a pump. I've got a little pump. So the last thing I want to do is spill stinky fuel all over my shop floor. And if I'm cutting something, I don't want a spark risk either. So, all right, so this is either going to work or it's not going to work. That was prophetic, wasn't it? All right, so we got the reading glasses and then the safety glasses. So what I've got is my little turbo pump that I got on the internet, and it's hopefully sealed into a little expansion funnel thingy that I use for transmission fluid that I cleaned up into a piece of 5/8 heater hose that we're going to now put. Is this a hold my beer moment? I think it might be. So now we're going to go down into the tank. Hopefully there's not one of those anti-fuel stealing baffles down in there. Yeah, we're old enough. All right, so maybe we're at the bottom of the tank. All right, man, here we go. And it is absolutely not working at all. No. Just sucking air. All right, so are we even into fuel at the bottom? Yeah, we're down into fuel. That's all wet. I'm not getting any siphon. Damn it. What I don't want to do is what we used to do. I shouldn't even say this out loud, but there might have been a time that I ran out of gas and I had to depend upon the kindness of strangers that didn't know that I was actually borrowing their gas, only to return it at a later date through a siphon hose into a 2-liter drink bottle into the gas tank of my Ford F-100 truck to get me home on a Sunday night from a date with a girlfriend to go out and get back to school Monday morning, and I barely had enough gas to get to the gas station. Does that even make sense? Okay. I don't know where I'm losing seal, but I don't know. I'm going to try this again. Put it a little farther down in there. No. Hard no. Hard no, Dewey. We know there's fuel in there. All right. Plan F. What I need is a little hammer to tap that socket off the fastener. There, that got rid of it. See, sometimes it's all about the finesse, taking these old cars apart. All right, we're going to try this again. Got a different piece of equipment and a different strategy. The strategy is to get the fuel out of the tank instead of sucking air, hopefully with the new equipment. Oh, there's some nasty coming out. I actually read the instructions. This is in and that's out. Out means out into the reservoir. In, it goes into the fuel to be siphoned. Got about 1/3 of an ounce out. Oh, wait. What? I found the recipe. Gross. I don't know what that was about, man. That was just, felt like a fruitless waste of time. So I'm just going to do the best I can to get as much of this out of here as possible. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so fuel is not supposed to be coffee colored. It's not supposed to be the color of engine oil. It's supposed to be amber slightly, but clear mostly. Wow. All right, so we've filled up 2 drain pans. I don't know how much fuel it is, but it was a lot. And by the way, I figured out with this thing that once you actually get a suction happening, you can leave it alone and it continues to siphon. So there's my learning curve with that piece of gear. So what we're going to do is get rid of this fuel in an appropriate and responsible manner, and we're going to drop the tank. God, that reeks, man. Yuck. All right then. What I'm going to try and do is lower this down evenly, even though it's a goofball shape, and it's really too high almost for this jack. But we can get, okay, we got contact there. That'll support it anyways. Now, hopefully, I can just get rid of these bolts here and ease it down. And Bob, being our uncle, we will have, I don't know, I'm just saying words. Ow. One strap. The good news is the strategy of using penetrating oil on the fasteners, yay, works great. So now the challenge is going to be lowering this down while the neck, the filler neck, comes out of the rear body awkwardly, and gravity takes charge and makes us all look foolish. Just like that. Don't forget your ground strap. I had one ground strap here that's chassis ground right there, I guess. So we'll get that guy out of the way. I'm sure glad we dropped that, or got the fuel out of there, because that would have been rude, that would have been gross, it would have been more difficult and whatever. Now, safety. So, all right, cool. That's a 5/16 bolt onto that thingy, and although I should just grab it and go like that, I'll probably unbolt it. looking for the build sheet. Got to pull the tank anyways, but build sheet not on the top of the tank. Maybe it's under here. And no. There is absolutely nothing under here. Okay. Imagine, if you will, what could have been here. We could have had the build sheet that told us all the secrets of what this car had on it when it was born. Of all the things that the guy picked off at the dealership, like limited slip rear axle, disc brakes on the front, air conditioning, specific gear ratio, 4-speed transmission, LT package, rear defroster, all the cool things, all of that stuff that would be listed on the build sheet that is nowhere to be found. So, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed, but I may self-medicate. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let that one sit right there. All right, so I had to get the fuel tank out anyways. We're changing the trunk floor. This is the step tank. This is the tank that took over when the body design changed, or the update changed. It used to be a flat tank in the 70 to 73 models. That's what we're putting back on it. We're putting back that floor. I like the idea of the flat floor anyways. There's more room for a full-size spare tire and all the other things. So anyway, long story shortage, we are, would send this one to the gas tank heaven and order our new stuff from AMD or whoever else. Get the straps off the tank. There's still a little bit of fuel in here. Felt it slosh. Still smells. Got a headache. Okay. So I've got to clean off all of the windshield gunk on the back glass channel, and then this piece comes out. There's just some 5/16 bolts in around the perimeter, and the reason I want to take that out is because we've got two lateral springs in behind here that handle the trunk tension. You can see the tips of them here and here, and this one got lots of spring tension. This one, you can even hear that it's broken. So there's reproductions of these. I might have a good one for the passenger side on my 76 parts car, but we got to pull that off to see. So that's kind of my next thing. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you a bit of the conversation I had with Derek Berry when he came over, because the last time he saw this car, it was getting loaded up on his trailer, and we both thought it was going to be the parts car for my 76. Check this out.
I smell a Camaro.
I finally got you over here to look at this thing. It's changed a little bit since the last time you saw it. Look at the sexy nose.
This is great. It's a yard sale in here, Kevin.
Well, kind of, yeah.
You're working. This looks awesome. I see what you're saying now.
And who knew that these fenders are the same from 70 to 1980, I think. So, I mean, it's the same fender, so it's a super easy bolt-in conversion. Rad support's different.
This is all bolt-in, everything.
Everything's bolt-in, yeah. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. There's the brackets that I didn't put in here, and of course, we've got the Rally Sport extended nose and all that stuff. But this is the car I've dreamt about this car, and so the cool thing is getting this from you. It was a parts car, right? It was a parts car for my '76 Rally Sport.
It was a barn find parts car.
Yep.
I thought it was way too far gone, and you saw it and was like, I have a vision and a goal, and this is what I want to do with that car.
Yeah.
I thought you was nuts, but now I see it. Now I'm seeing it.
Well, I'm excited, and the more I uncover with this car, the more I'm glad that I made that decision. And I mean, it's got a limited slipper axle. You know this already.
Yep.
Your two-wheel peel in your field.
Yep.
That shows that. But you know, and it's got some pop nuts, and I think the reason. So I wanted to ask you, how long had this sat before you found it?
Oh my goodness. So this was an actual, I want to say decade and a half, 2 decades. It had been left there from a couple previous owners of that place when I found the building.
Yeah.
We pulled a couple cars out of there actually. So I've been sitting a long, long, long time.
So the odometer says 56,000 miles. I think that's I think it could be original miles. And what tells me that is, in the first place, on the Odo, nothing looks goofy.
Not all weird, shuffled.
No, it's all in a line. The plastic is in great shape. The pockets are in great shape. There's lots of stuff that's in really good condition. Yeah, yeah. All the little indicators,
all
Derek,
the rubber is intact.
and all the vacuum diaphragms still work and everything. I mean, all this stuff. You know, this is original. This is 74 only, I think. But I mean, there's so many tells on this thing that say that it's a low mileage car. And I think this lick that it took right here on this hinge pillar is what saved it, because it sat in the barn and it didn't rot down. So I used a Porta Power jack. It's a 4-ton jack. It's right down there. And I used a Porta Power on it, and I worked about a day on it to massage this out. And I thought I had it enough. But
it looks great to me.
Now it's in the right place now. But me and my buddy Chris Slee from Kiwi Classics and Customs came over here, and he's really good for structural work and metal work and all that stuff. So we worked on it for about 3 hours 2 days ago, and got the rocker. This is a slip fit. This fell right into place.
Wow.
I've got to burn it in. I've got to finish spot welding it in, build this structure right here. But now this is in the right place. So my door's going to close, and it's where it used to be. Do you remember how this was humped up?
Yes. Yeah.
So this was humped up. This was kicked way in. 2 inches.
Wow.
We pulled it out 2 inches.
So this got clobbered good.
It got clobbered good. And this is the strongest structural point of this whole vehicle because of all of this mess here, and the rocker, and the inners, and the subframe holding to it, which is ironic because it's what saved the car.
Yeah, I think you're right. It probably got clobbered and sat for a long time, and then someone obviously did some body work. It's as thick as my finger.
Well, I saw this crack and I thought, I had the flap wheel out, and because I was dressed in this, and this had it looked like Bonnie and Clyde drove it, and I fixed all of those and metal treated it, and I thought, well, let me just dig down through there.
Wow.
And I admire the sculpture of this, the capability of the technician.
That looks great.
It looks great. So
who knew it had a wide body kit too, Kevin? This is great.
And I'm torn as to whether I'm going to leave that or not. No, I am. But we're putting quarters on it and a trunk floor.
You doing full quarters or just skinning to here? Or
you know what? I'm going to do full quarters because I want to get to here and make sure these inner and outer wheelhouses are good.
Sure.
And I want to do, if I do the RS conversion or the 70 conversion on the back, all of this stuff goes away anyways, right? So I might as well pull it down. That way I can check the rails. We got to pull the trunk. It's a lot of stinking work.
Yeah.
We'll get the trunk floor out of here. Trunk floor changed from 73 to 74.
Oh, it did? Okay.
It's a 2-step gas tank.
So it's flatter?
It's flatter on the 70 to 73 cars.
Yeah.
So what that does is it gives me a chance to get all these spot welds out, get the insides of the rails cleaned up, treat them with something, and just move on. My suspicion is that they're going to be as clean and rust-free as the rocker panel was, because it was in great shape on the inside.
Yeah, you got the old Alabama trunk key to fix, too.
Yeah, we're going to just wipe the slate clean of that. But
I am blown away. The inner structure of this roof looks so good.
Isn't it crazy?
I would have never guessed looking at the
Look at
top
that.
panel.
That's the factory primer right there. It's amazing.
And all the little glue.
Yep.
It's incredible.
You know, and when I the first episode on this car, when I first started pulling it apart, I just knew that it was going to be crumbling through and that it was going to set it up to where this is now my parts car for my 76.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew it. And every time I've peeled back another layer of this car, it shows me that it wants to be done. It wants to be built.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. You really saved this one. I mean, I would say 99% of people would have been, including myself, but you're proving don't give up on them.
Well,
you just got to peel the onion back and take a look at them.
I was so proud of Zed Sled and how it turned out. It took a lot of work, but it turned into a neat car, and a lot of people really resonated to that car. And this is in such better condition than that car was to start with. Yeah, we've got some holes, whatever, man.
Where? This little one?
Nothing the license plate wouldn't cover up. I know, but you know, I mean, it's just.
Are you sure that's not the cooled seats option back?
It could be. It could be. Well, it ventilated my ankle. I know that.
No, it looks great. You're really getting the town on this thing.
Well, you know, every time I do something else to it, it puts another month or 2 months onto the build. But, you know, man, what are we doing here? Are we fixing these cars up, or are we just? I don't know. To me, if I'm going to save this car, let's save it. Let's do it right. Let's make something. And I had some guys talk to me about whether this is a real Z28 or whether it was a valuable car as a 74. We chased the numbers down, although it was heavily optioned with the LT package, all that kind of stuff. It's not a Z. So for me, it's up to me what I want to do with it.
Right. Well, it's your car.
It's my car,
it's
for sure.
Kevin's Camaro. Yeah.
Yep. And I've always daydreamed about about this cool front end, and that's what we're doing, man. I'm super excited about it.
I can't wait to see this done.
Cool.
You decided on color?
I have not. Although I put this out there on the last episode. I said, hey guys, what do you think about a patina job? Because, you know, the Bumblebee car from the movie, I thought maybe red with white stripes. And Dennis Collins, he was the guy, Gas Monkey's partner, the guy that buys the cars.
Yep.
He's got a channel out too. And he goes and rescues old cars. He found a real 70 Z28, green with the white stripes, low miles, 350, 4-speed car, beautiful old car. His car, the patina on it, looks so cool. And I thought, well, maybe I can put a patina job on it. No. I got so many vetoes on that. So it's like, I think people would come and find me and skin me alive and separate my head from my body if I did a patina job on this car.
There's a 69Z rolling across Mecum right now that is set to probably break records, and it is patinaed.
Is it fake patina or is it a Survivor patina?
It's Survivor with some Fox Tina stuff
Yeah.
to kind of clean it up, and it looks like they probably satined it or something. But everyone is going gaga over the thing.
See?
Yeah. You know, I say it's your car. You do what you want to do. That's my vote.
Well, my thought is I want to take a page out of the Derek Bieri book and get it on the road and enjoy it.
There you go.
And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a nice paint job on it, but I'm going to get it in primer. And I'm going to get it running and driving, and I'm going to play with the silly
Shake
thing.
it down a little
Shake
bit.
it down, get it all mechanical. Because what I always do, Derek, is put a car together, get everything, all the pieces and parts put together again, and then I shake it down with fresh paint, and it just makes me nervous. So with this one, I don't know. I think it would be way more fun to get it run. I'm not even going to do a brake upgrade at first. It's disc brakes on the front. They're perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, there's nothing wrong with drum brakes. We'll get it up and running, and I'll play with it and have fun with it, and then we'll talk about a paint job.
so see you next weekend. We'll go shake it down.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Because
Okay.
I'm working on somebody else's truck over there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Sounds fun. This is great, man. You are not afraid of work, my friend.
Well, I don't know. I appreciate that, because coming from somebody that is a perpetual
I don't even know what
workaholic.
half of this is. Well, that's a pry bar, obviously.
It is, yeah. Those are the universal ones. Actually, those are apartments for dirt daubers
Oh, yeah.
and black widow spiders.
Yeah, multiple dwelling
Yeah.
units.
There's the donor fender for my 76.
I do notice the jack because I always have flat tires.
Yeah.
There's some good parts in here yet,
There's
actually.
some really good parts in here. So we got to get some sun visors. But this was an interesting piece of history. This reveals that the 74 was 1 year only, to where if you weren't sitting with your lap belt belted up, the car wouldn't start.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it's a safety. Read that.
Yes, sir. Will not operate. I'm learning.
And it was so unpopular that they stopped doing it.
How many dealers got phone calls? My new Camaro won't start.
I know. And there was a computer in there. I said computer loosely, but it was a little controller box under the seat. And I thought, well, what the heck is this?
Just killed the ignition or what?
Yeah.
Interrupter?
It's a defeat. And the seat belts, there's this goofy mechanism in the clasp. I can't find where they are. I've organized it too well down here, but anyway, so it's like a 75-piece clasp that holds it in with an electronic sensor. All the belt receivers are all wired. But you know what's really cool is how good. Look at this thing.
I know.
Look at these tabs. They all break off. They all get brittle and break off. And this is still firm like it's a brand new one. All of this stuff is in such nice
Look at the sticker in there
shape.
still.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, what do you think about that? And I'm pipe dreaming. I'm making up a story, but it might be.
And you could see that this was garage most of its life. Look at the needles.
Yep. Yeah, they're still orange.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of fade on that, but... And we need a dash pad, and you know, there's
this one hasn't been,
dash.
you know, another thing I look at for higher mileage units, and this is true with pickup trucks and square bodies and most cars, these lenses get scratched so easy, and people reach in here with gloves and mittens and snot rags and wipe them out. This one doesn't have the swirls and all of this stuff from, you know, years and years and high miles either.
Yep. And it's an AC dash, it's an AC car. We're going to put a vintage air system in it because I love that company and their stuff just works extremely well. Did you notice the rear defroster on this car?
I did, yeah.
I've never seen that option before.
Yeah.
But it's literally a fan sitting down in there. I'm going to get that thing running again, I think.
Yeah. I thought it was a Boom Boom originally.
Well, I thought somebody put a home heating register in the parcel shelf. But
yeah, no, I think didn't the A bodies also have those? The Chevelles
I think
and Monte
so.
Carlos? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, someone really, maybe they didn't get the Z, but they said, I'm just going to make something, you know, I'll scratch every other box, but that one or something.
And you know it was a factory 4-speed car, right?
I did not know that.
Yes. Check this out.
Well, I see the blue thing now.
There's the blue thing now, and I thought, well, maybe that's just a weird patch, blah, 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 blah. And we start looking, and the option codes say standard shift, but look at the Z, look at the Z bar. The mechanical linkage is still there.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And there's a divot, or actually I can't say with the camera, but it's behind the brake booster. It's a grommet in the firewall where the push rod comes through.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
I think it would be really cool to put it back as a manual shift.
I think you have to at this point.
I think so too.
I mean, the linkage is there.
I know.
So you have to.
Yeah.
Well, that's really, you know, it was probably wrecked. Someone yanked the drivetrain out of it, threw some lipstick on the thing, and sent it down the road.
Yep. Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What a story. That's really cool, too.
You know, and what you know and what I know is that every car has a story like this. Every single one has a story like this. And what a privilege to be able to peel the layers back and figure it out. You know what I mean?
I wonder if it's always neat. It's rare because obviously there's so many vehicles out there, but sometimes I'll get an email, hey, that was my grandpa's car, or I know the guy that had that car. It would be so cool if someone had more history on this or recognized it, or I don't know if it stayed its life in this area though, with the floors and everything like that.
Yeah, with where you get cars, you get them from all over the country. I don't know where this one came from.
This came from Tennessee.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, but I can't remember the plate on it. I don't think it was a Tennessee plate.
I didn't find a plate.
I'll have to go back and look. I think this might be a Midwest car originally.
Yeah.
And then was transplanted.
Yeah, the data plate here will tell where it's built, and I don't have my reading glasses on, so I can't tell. But
very cool.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming down here to check it out. I've been wanting you to see this, and I've been excited about it, and wanted to show you around it a little bit. And one of these days, we'll go for a spin in it.
2 weeks. I'm ready.
Yep. Cool.
Thanks, Kevin.
So now you're caught up. Everybody's caught up, and we're just still moving forward. You know, it's not all exciting things. It's not all cutting off the panel. There's a lot of little things. There's a lot of little projects involved in getting this thing ready for the big projects. We got to get the foundation solid. We saw that. Before I can test fit my doors, I got to rebuild the door hinges. That's probably going to be another video. Write me down in the columns if you want to see a door hinge rebuild video. That's something I've done a dozen times, and it's something that I've actually got parts for, thanks to Kevin. And we can take care of that for you. In the meantime, we've got lots of stuff coming your way. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the like button, and hey, thanks for watching the videos. It's fun to make them, and it's fun to interact with you guys on the comments, and we'll see you on the next one.